Hello and welcome to another Magic the Gathering unboxing. Today we're going to be looking at the second deck from the new Commander 2014 series. This is the blue deck, Peer Through Time. If you're interested in seeing some of the commonalities of all the 5 decks, then if you haven't watched it already, then I suggest watching me do the unboxing of the white deck, where I actually explain a little bit about similarities between this particular issue of the Commander product as a whole. So in this one, our lead commander is Teferi, Temporal Archmage. So we'll have a look at that particular card once we open the box. Just have a quick look at the back of the box here. So it just gives you a very quick overview of the deck, and also lists the 5 other decks: the Forged in Stone, Peer Through Time, Sworn to Darkness, Built from Scratch, and Guided by Nature, and their contents. Let's open this up, and we're going to go through all the cards and also look at the synergies. So we have a foil oversized commander here. In all the decks there is just a single, even though they're alternate commanders. In terms of the oversized card, there is only one foil, one of those, and it's purely the lead commander. So Teferi, Temporal Archmage, cost 4 colourless and 2 blue to cast. It has a loyalty of 5, and going through its abilities: +1, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. -1, untap up to 4 target permanents, and the -10 ability, you get an emblem with "you may activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control on any player's turn anytime you could cast an instant." So what we're looking as we go through the deck is anything that interacts with those abilities, but of course there may be other synergies outside of the synergies of the general as well in this deck. So we've got manipulation of the top of the library going on here. We've got tapping down permanents, and in the case of the final ultimate ability, this ability to activate the loyalty abilities on any player's turn and at any time you would cast an instant. As I explained with the other deck, this commander product also includes appropriate tokens for the deck, and we'll have a look at those. We've got our rules reference card, which I also go through in the first video, and we'll have a look at the insert for this particular deck, just to get a feel for how it's supposed to be played. So again, when you're going out and trying to locate this product and you have maybe a particular playing style that you like to do, you're just going to end up with the right deck. So let's have a look. In the beginning of the game, focus on building up your resources. Cast mana producing artifacts if you have them, or find them using spells that let you dig through your library. So there's this library manipulation going on. Your creatures with the morph ability are excellent to cast face down early in the game. You can turn them up later to take advantage of their abilities that draw cards, disrupt your opponents, and more. Once your adversaries begin to establish threatening armies, it's often best to keep some mana available on opponent's turn, as your instant spells like Turn to Frog and Domineering Will can turn an attack against you into a devastating rout. In addition, cards like Assault Suit and Crown of Doom will encourage your opponents to attack each other instead of you. When it comes time to deliver the death blow, you have plenty of enormous creatures and cackling counterpart and right of application can turn a single threat into a game-winning army. Once you've assembled a lethal force, Ether Gale or Cyclonic Rift can clear the way for you to finish off an opponent. And here's the deck list here. And as what I'm very interested in with these monocolour decks, because of course all 5 are monocolours, is basically what the land base looks like, because there is no necessity to do colour fixing. So it'd be good to see what sort of utility we get through those lands. So at the top of this deck we have our tokens and our emblem. This is the emblem that was mentioned in the Planeswalker's ability. So this is the Teferi emblem. You may activate loyalty abilities of Planeswalkers you control on any player's turn, anytime you could cast an instant. These are also double-sided tokens. So this one's got a zombie token on the back. We've got a fish token with, again, a zombie token. So straight away these tokens are telling us a little bit about the deck. Whale and zombie. Kraken and zombie. Fish and also zombie. And just to note, I don't know if you can see that, these particular tokens also have abilities on them. So in the case of the fish one, this is a 3/3 fish. When this creature dies, put a 6/6 blue whale creature token onto the battlefield. When this creature dies, put a 9/9 blue kraken creature token onto the battlefield. And the whale one has, which is 6/6, has when this creature dies, put a 9/9 blue kraken creature token onto the battlefield. There's our zombie. Notice the star power and toughness on that token. Here's our 9/9 kraken token. Zombies also looks like we generate ape tokens here. Another zombie token. Ape and zombie. Ape and zombie. So even this is a blue deck, this looks like it's generating green apes. So here's our basic land. So we'll just flick through this, get a feel for what artwork they've included in here. This is often the cheapest modification you can make to your deck, is to basically just replace it with artwork of land that you prefer. And you can see that's obviously repeating itself here, the artwork. So a lot of islands there. There's our main general in the regular card form. And we've already had a look at that. So let's actually look at the rest of the deck. So we've got Stitcher Geralf, 3 and 2 blue for a 3/4 legendary creature human wizard. For 2 and a blue you can tap it. Each player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Exile up to 2 creature cards put into graveyards this way. Put an XX blue zombie creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the total power of the cards exiled this way. That's our tie into our zombie token. Lore Thros the Tidemaker, 5 and 3 blue for an 8/8 legendary creature octopus. Whenever Lorthos the Tidemaker attacks, you may pay 8. If you do, tap up to 8 target permanents. Those permanents don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. So there's some tap down. Dulcet Sirens, 2 and a blue for a 1/3. For 1 blue, tap it. Target creature attacks target opponent this turn if able. It's also got morph on it, and morph was mentioned in that insert. It's a 1 blue to morph. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it face up any time for its morph cost. Reefworm, 3 and a blue for a 0/1. When Reefworm dies, put a 3/3 blue fish creature token onto the battlefield. When this creature dies, put a 6/6 blue whale creature token onto the battlefield. When this creature dies, put a 9/9 blue kraken creature token onto the battlefield. So that's where our scaling tokens come in. Isidron, 3 colourless and 5 blue. Star, power, toughness, creature illusion. As Isidron enters the battlefield, turn any other non-token creatures face down. They're 2/2 creatures. Isidron's power and toughness are each equal to the number of face down creatures on the battlefield. Also notice as we're going through this, we're going to see a number of cards that we haven't seen before. Each deck, if you look at the original packaging, it says it includes 15 new Magic the Gathering cards. Storm Surge Kraken, 3 and 2 blue for a 5/5. It's got hexproof. It's got Lieutenant on it. So with Lieutenant, as long as you control your commander, Storm Surge Kraken gets +2/+2, and has whenever Storm Surge Kraken becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards. There's a Frost Titan, and when I opened the other deck, in the white deck, there was also the particular Titan for that. So it'd be interesting to see if all the decks have the Titans in them. So 4 and 2 blue for a 6/6 creature giant. Whenever Frost Titan becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller plays 2. Whenever Frost Titan enters the battlefield or attacks, tap target permanent. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Sphinx of Joar Isle, 4 and 2 blue for a 5/5 with flying and shroud. And also you may look at the top card of your library. Sphinx of Magosai, 3 colourless, 3 blue for a 6/6 creature Sphinx with flying. Ability, 2 colourless and a blue. Draw a card, then put a +1/+1 counter on Sphinx of Magosai. Phyrexian Ingester, 6 and a blue for a 3/3 creature beast. It's got imprint on it. Whenever Phyrexian Ingester enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. Phyrexian Ingester gets +X/+Y, where X is the exiled creature's card's power and Y is its toughness. Sphinx of Euthune, 5 colourless, 2 blue for a 5/6 creature Sphinx with flying. When Sphinx of Euthune enters the battlefield, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile in your hand and the other into your graveyard. Hoverguard Sweepers, 6 colourless, 2 blue for a 5/6 with flying. It's a creature drone. Whenever Hoverguard Sweepers enters the battlefield, you may return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Breaching Leviathan, 7 and 2 blue for a 9/9 creature Leviathan. When Breaching Leviathan enters the battlefield, if you cast it from your hand, tap all non-blue creatures. Those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. Deep 6 Kraken, 7 and 3 blue for a 6/6 creature Kraken. Deep Sea Kraken can't be blocked. It's got Suspend 9 on it for a cost of 2 and a blue. So rather than cast this card from your hand, you may pay 2 and a blue and exile it with 9 time counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a time counter. When the last is removed, cast it without paying its mana cost. It has haste. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, if Deep Sea Kraken is suspended, remove a time counter from it. Infinite Reflection, 5 and a blue, enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Infinite Reflection enters the battlefield, attach it to a creature. Each other non-token creature you control becomes a copy of that creature. Non-token creatures you control enter the battlefield as a copy of enchanted creature. Well of Ideas, 5 and a blue, enchantment. When Well of Ideas enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of each other player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. At the beginning of your draw step, draw 2 additional cards. Cyclonic Rift costs 1 and a blue. It's an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. It also has an overload cost of 6 and a blue, so you can actually cast a spell for its overload cost, and if you do that, you change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. Crackling or Cackling counterpart. 1 colourless, 2 blue, instant. Put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of a target creature you control. It's got flashback for a cost of 5 colourless, 2 blue, so you can cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, and then you exile it. That's useful if you've actually put that into your graveyard through one of the other effects, so at least you still get to cast that, if that's what's happened. Domineering Will for 3 and a blue. Target player gains control of up to 3 target non-attacking creatures until end of turn. Untap those creatures, they block this turn if able. Intellectual Offering, 4 and a blue instant. Choose an opponent. You and that player each draw 3 cards. Choose an opponent. Untap all non-land permanents you control and all non-land permanents that player controls. Stroke of Genius, X, 2 colourless and a blue. Target player draws X cards. Right of Replication, 2 and 2 blue. It's got a kicker cost of 5 colourless. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of target creature. If Right of Replication was kicked, put 5 of those tokens onto the battlefield instead. Ether Gale, 3 and 2 blue, sorcery. Return 6 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Distortion Wake, X and 3 blue, sorcery. Return X target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Still Hellkite is in this deck, 6 colourless artifact creature dragon, so we're moving on to our artifacts now. It's got flying, it's a 5/5. For 2 colourless, Still Hellkite gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and for X colourless, destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X whose controller was dealt combat damage by Still Hellkite this turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. Sapphire Medallion, for 2 colourless, it generates if you cast a blue spell, they cost 1 colourless less to cast. Crown of Doom, 3 colourless artifact. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. 2 colours, target player other than Crown of Doom's owner gains control of it. Activate this ability only during your turn. I can never say this one. Nevinyrral's Disc, 4 colourless. Nevinyrral's Disc enters the battlefield tapped. 1 and tap it. Destroy all artifacts, creatures and enchantments. Coral Atoll. So we're moving on to our non-basic lands now. So this enters the battlefield tapped. When Coral Atoll enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return an untapped island you control to its owner's hand. Tap, add 1 and a blue to your mana pool. So this is one in that cycle of Karoo lands that we saw in the white deck. Ghost Quarter was also in the other deck, and I suspect will be in all the decks. Tap, add 1 colourless to your mana pool, sacrifice Ghost Quarter, destroy target land. Its controller may search his or her library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle his or her library. Lonely Sandbar. Lonely Sandbar enters the battlefield tapped. Tap, add blue to your mana pool, cycling for 1 blue. Myriad Landscape. Myriad Landscape enters the battlefield tapped. Tap, add 1 colourless to your mana pool. For 2 colourless, tap it, sacrifice Myriad Landscape, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Remote Isle, another land, non-basic land with cycling on it. So with this, enter the battlefield tapped, tap it, add blue to your mana pool, but there's a cycling cost of 2 colourless if you want to discard the card and draw another card. Tectonic Edge is in here. You can tap it for 1 colourless, your mana pool, but also for 1 you can tap it, sacrifice Tectonic Edge and destroy target non-basic land. You can only activate the ability if an opponent controls 4 or more lands. Zoetic Cavern. Tap it, add 1 to your mana pool for a morph cost of 2. You can cast the card face down as though it's a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it up anytime for its morph cost. As your mage, so we're back to some creatures now. 1 and a blue for a 2/1. Creature Human Wizard. On its ability, 3 colourless and a blue, you get to draw a card. Fathom Seer, 1 and a blue for a 1/3. Creature Illusion. It has morph, so you return to 2 islands you control to their owner's hands. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3. Turn it face up anytime for its morph cost. When Fathom Seer is turned face up, draw 2 cards. Defender Flying on the Fog Bank. So Fog Bank's 1 and a blue for a 0/2 creature wall. As I said, it has Defender and Flying. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by Fog Bank. Willbender, 1 and a blue for a 1/2. It's got morph of 1 and a blue on it, so when you can cast it again face down. So all of these have the same casting cost if you're casting it face down of 3 colourless for a 2/2 creature. It's only the morph cost that's different for when you actually turn it face up. And when Willbender is turned face up, so also these have like a triggered ability on them when you morph them, or some of them do. You get to change the target of a target spell or ability with a single target. Riptide Survivor, 2 and a blue, Creature Human Wizard, 2/1, another morph here. So its morph cost is 1 and 2 blue. And when Riptide Survivor is turned face up, discard 2 cards, then draw 3 cards. Seagate Oracle, 2 and a blue for 1/3. Creature Human Wizard, when Seagate Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. Shaper Parasite, 1 colourless, 2 blue for 2/3, and its morph cost is 2 and a blue. When Shaper Parasite is turned face up, target creature gets +2, -2, or -2, +2 until end of turn. Muldrifter is in this particular deck. So 4 colourless and a blue for a 2/2 with flying. When Muldrifter enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. It's also got an evoke cost on it. So just a reminder for evoke, for this evoke costs 2 and a blue, and you can cast this spell for its evoke cost. If you do, it's sacrificed when it enters the battlefield. So what happens there is, of course, simply that particular enter the battlefield ability is triggered if you choose to evoke it. Brine Elemental, 4 colourless and 2 blue. It's a creature elemental, it's 5/4, it's got a morph cost of 5 and 2 blue. When Brine Elemental is turned face up, each opponent skips his or her next untapped step. Fool's Demise, 4 and a blue. Enchantment Aura, enchant creature. When enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. When Fool's Demise is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return Fool's Demise to its owner's hand. Pongify, for a blue, it's an instant, you get to destroy a target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller puts a 3/3 green ape creature token onto the battlefield, so that's where our green creature tokens come into play. Into the Royal, colourless and a blue, it's got a kicker cost on it. And its kicker cost is 1 colourless and a blue. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If Into the Royal was kicked, draw a card. Turn to Frog, 1 colourless and a blue. Until end of turn, target creature loses its abilities and becomes a blue frog with base power and toughness of 1/1. Exclude, 2 and a blue, counter target creature spell and draw a card. Dismiss, 2 colourless and 2 blue. Counter target spell, draw a card. Call to mind, 2 and a blue. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Compulsive Research, 2 and a blue. Target player draws 3 cards, then that player discards 2 cards unless he or she discards a land card. Concentrate, 2 and 2 blue. Draw 3 cards. Rush of Knowledge, 4 and a blue. Draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among permanents you control. So we have an Artisan of Kozilek in the deck as well. So 9 colourless, creature Eldrazi. It's a 10/9. When you cast Artisan of Kozilek, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it's got Annihilator 2 on it, so whenever this creature attacks, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. So we're moving on to another set of artifacts here. Everflowing Chalice, 0 to cast, multi-kicker of 2. So with multi-kicker, you may pay an additional 2 any number of times that you cast the spell. Everflowing Chalice enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each time it was kicked. Tap, add 1 to your mana pool for each charge counter on Everflowing Chalice. Turmoid's Crypt, 0 to cast. Tap it, sacrifice Turmoid's Crypt, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Soul Ring, again something it's going to be in all the decks. It's 1 colourless, tap, add 2 colourless to your mana pool. Mind Stone, so we have a bit of card draw on this. 2 colourless, tap, add 1 to your mana pool. 1 and tap, sacrifice Mind Stone, draw a card. Sky Diamond, 2 colourless. Sky Diamond into the battlefield tapped. Tap, add blue to your mana pool. Swiftfoot Boots, 2 colourless. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste, equipped for 1. Commander's Sphere, 3 colourless. You can tap it, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity. Sacrifice Commander's Sphere, draw a card. Unstable Obelisk, 3 colourless. Tap it, add 1 colourless to your mana pool. For a cost of 7, you can tap it, sacrifice it, and destroy a target permanent. Worn Power Stone, 3 colourless. Worn Power Stone enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap Worn Power Stone and add 2 colourless to your mana pool. Assault Suit, 4 colourless. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has haste, can't attack you or a planeswalker you control, and can't be sacrificed. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may have the player gain control of a equipped creature until end of turn. If you do, untap it. Equip for 3. Thrain Dynamo, 4 colourless. Tap it, add 3 colourless to your mana pool. Golem's Eye, 4 colourless. Add 2 colourless to your mana pool. And last card in the deck, Dreamstone Hedron, 6 colourless artifact. Add 3 colours to your mana pool. And for a cost of 3, tap it, sacrifice it, and draw 3 cards. So you can see in this deck, we've got lots of card draw going on, lots of tap down in there, library manipulation to basically get what you want out, and also ways in which you can get back cards that maybe got put into your library in the process of, got put into your graveyard in the process of manipulating your library. So there we have the Teferi Temporal Archmage as the general, and this particular deck was the Peer Through Time deck from the new Commander 2014 product. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.